My name is Tyler Lyon. I am currently 31. I'll be 32 at the end of this month. The majority of my high school years, I played sports, basketball, football, even soccer, and I had really good grades. I was really well behaved academically speaking, had a lot of friends, had a very outgoing, charismatic personality. My dream was always to be in the military. I remember taking my ASVAB my junior year, and I was working with a gentleman at the McConnell Air Force Base to enlist in the military. I got in trouble my senior year in high school, ended up with felonies really early, and that pretty much derailed and deterred all of those dreams and hopes. It caused me to lose a lot of faith in myself as a person because of what everybody around you tells you, and being 18 years old, you're so easily impressionable, and without people that truly understand what you're going through to guide you through something like that, it can be very detrimental. I had Matthew, and I just remember when he was born, my perspective changing on everything in life. All of a sudden, Tyler wasn't first, and that's, at that time, was such a mind-boggling concept, being a young man in a culture that really idolizes putting ourselves before pretty much anything else, In 2017, I want to say June, I was in an accident where I ended up fracturing my neck, the C3 vertebra in my neck. I tore the labrum bicep, which is just the tendon that connects into the shoulder, and I had knee surgery as well, tearing my MCL and meniscus. And I just remember going to the doctor and them saying, hey, you can't do anything. Your neck is really, really bad. I ended up sitting around on short-term disability through my job, and in that time, just kind of eating my sorrows away and feeling bad for myself and thinking, why me, why me? It ended up being a situation that took me to a very dark place in my life. When the accident happened in June, I was 210 pounds. When I ended up on my way to the Kansas Department of Corrections in February of 2019, I was 403 pounds. The altercation that ultimately sent me to prison was 4 months after the accident. And I think it goes to speak to the state of mind that I was in. I got into a disagreement with someone that was in my house. I didn't want them to be in my home. I ended up in trying to remove the person from my home, grabbing a gun, and shot them. The bullet ricocheted off their shoulder, their clavicle and their shoulder, and went through another person that was in my house. And one simple act, it changed the direction of my life forever. I got sentenced to 94 months in the Department of Corrections. That's 2 months shy of 8 years. I am now currently 4.5 years, 5 years almost into that sentence. I've got about 1.5 years left. So, going through this process, you wouldn't presume that God is pursuing you. You think that your life is over with. You think that everything that you've known is going to be coming to an end. Then I just remember one night they announced a Bible study call out, and one of the guys that was on the run that I was in the pod that I was in, he invited me. He said, hey man, you're a nice guy. I think this would be a good thing for you. And I'm like, no man, I don't need God in my life. I've never gone to church or never done Bible studies before. I'm fine, And I just remember making a phone call home to somebody, and they mentioned going to church. And I'm like, okay, in 20-something years, you've never said anything about church to me. And I shared that story with a guy after he had invited me, and he was like, dude, that's God. You know what I'm saying? Confirming and validating where it is that you need to be and why he's got you here. And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, I'll try this out. And from then on, it was just a snowball effect. I just remember being in a prison chapel, on my knees, just crying, Lord, here I am, save me, whatever I gotta do, I'm a hot mess, but I'm here, and I'm able if you will just find a way to use me. And so I just started from there, getting into the Word a heck of a lot more and staying focused and determined in what I knew that it was that I was being called to do. Almost immediately after the evangelist came and spoke, one of the gentlemen that I didn't have a strong relationship with came up to me and said, "Hey man, there's this church that I want you to watch. Just do me a favor, check out their praise and worship." He was like, "Go to, I think it was channel 17, and it ended up being NewSpring." And I just fell in love with the praise and worship, and I've always been a huge music fan, singing, dancing, whatever. And I remember Pastor Mark was preaching on like a game plan sermon, and he had like a Peyton Manning jersey on, and he was preaching about Joseph and out of Genesis, and it just struck me and caught me like that, and I'm just like, I know, like that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going when I get back out. Finding NewSpring was like hitting gold for me. It gave me something to look forward to every Sunday. I would watch it even when football was on. Since accepting Jesus and involving God in everything that it is that I do, my life has just been exponentially better. Every facet, every aspect, every part of my life has been elevated. Relationships that I never in my life would have presumed could be something that were fixable have been mended. From coming from such a dark place in life where there was no hope, I think hope is just the number one thing. Knowing that I've gotten this far builds that confidence to think that if I truly set my heart and my mind to something, that there's nothing that I can't do. When I think about what's to come, I think about an opportunity to live the life that He's meant for me to live all along. And I can't help but think of Romans 8:28, that all things work for the good for those who are called according to His purpose, right? And I think recognizing that purpose is the first step, and recognizing that call. And that's basically kind of where I find myself at right now. I would say that if you're questioning if God could love and forgive you, that that's a human instinct, that it's part of our flawed nature. And while I acknowledge and accept that feeling, I don't recommend it. God says that He is just to forgive us of everything that we've done. And He gave up His only child, Jesus, to accomplish that. And I know it's selfish. I wouldn't be able to give up my son. But He gave up His for me. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think that if you're struggling with it, you shouldn't.